Start with the end in mind. So when we began, I started with purpose. And this is the purpose. You start with the end in mind. You've got to know where you're going. If you don't know where you're going, how are you going to get there? You know, there's a lot of roads that they say, well, all roads lead to Rome. But if you don't know you're going to Rome, you're going to end up everywhere but Rome. So you've got to know where you're going. And you plan your results. When you know where you're going, you can start figuring out how to get there. And you don't need to go in a straight line. You might plan a straight line, but it's okay if you don't go in a straight line. So if you go, okay, well, this is where I'm going, this is where I am. The map's not drawn yet, or you know, no one's been ahead of me. If you can find someone who's already travelled this route, speak to them, find out how they get from there to there, and then just follow the road they took, or speak to people about shortcuts along the way. But at least you've got a path from here to there. But if you start travelling, you might find there's a mountain in the way. And if you don't have the ability to climb the mountain, you might go around it. Or you make a choice. Am I going to go through this mountain or around it? And that's fine, but you don't know where you're headed. Because if you start to divert, you've got to know when you're coming back on path. You don't, otherwise you're likely to end up over there somewhere. So you've got to know where you're going. Because a barrier in your way will do one of two things. Slow you down, make you change direction, or send you off in the wrong direction altogether. So you've got to be careful what you do, as long as you know that where you're going, and each step you take brings you closer to it. The book Life in Half a Second by Matthew Michalowicz. If you haven't read it, I recommend it. It's not a big book. And he talks about the urgency of getting to where you're going. And he has a little plan that says if you want to achieve a goal, this is what you've got to do. You start with the goal in mind, and then you work out what you've got to do to get there. So there might be, you know, a heap of different things. So he wanted to be, one of his first things was becoming a bodybuilder. So he's said, well, what do I need to become a bodybuilder? You know, the world's best. So he's had a look at a few different things, and he said, well, you know, the first thing I need to do is I need to start working on my diet. I need to start going to the gym. I need to start getting educated. So, you know, he looked at Arnold Schwarzenegger, and that was his, you know, that was the idol that he used. So he did these things, and he goes, well, then I've got to go to a competition level. So I get fit, and then I go to a competition, and then I do this, and then I do this, and all these things that he's doing take him all the way to the goal at the end. Another great example, and he talks about it in his book, Jim Carrey. So Jim Carrey carried around in his pocket a check to himself. I don't know if it was X million dollars or 1 million. It might have been 1 million, but whatever it was at least $1 million. And he carried that check around in his pocket, written from himself to himself. And that was his goal, was to earn $1 million, like from, you know, get paid for a movie, and then there's your $1 million, and you can write a check to himself for that amount of money. And he achieved that in less than he'd set out for because of the focus that he had to get that. You know, he carried that check, $1 million, in his pocket every day. It was always there. You could reach in his pocket, and there it was. So getting really clear about where you're going, always starting with the end in mind. And break down your task. So as I said here, you know, if you read the book Life in Half a Second, it teaches you one strategy for breaking it down. Any questions?